And we're back with more action, and we're gonna start cracking right away. More artists coming on to the NFT Live Festival presented by PodFest Asia. And let me just do a short introduction for my next guest. Her name is Dita Echleskov. I hope that I pronounced this correctly. Later on, I'll check with her and edit it out, if I mispronounce her name. Anyway, hey people, another day, another speaker is coming on to this podcast. We can't wait to welcome Danish artist Dita Echleskov to our virtual NFT live virtual event stage presented by PodFest Asia and NFT Asia podcast. So she's a Danish painter whose digital sketch work came into focus as she minted her first NFTs in March. And the main focus is a 3D model of a sculpture created in antiquity and developed through a painful human experience, yet born in the metaverse as women where they will live into eternity. She graduated from Malmo Art Academy in Sweden in 2009 and has many museum and gallery shows behind her. So without further ado, we're going to have to, put our hands together and welcome this artist. And I'm really honored, and it's a real pleasure to have her on our show. And I think she's in the backstage right now. Let me just add her to our live stage. Say hello to everyone, Dita. How are you?
Hello. Hi. Can you hear me?
Hi. Loud and clear. And first of all, you have to help correct my mispronunciation of your name. So please maybe how do we pronounce your name?
Okay, Dita Echleskov.
Dita Echleskov.
Yeah, perfect.
Fantastic. So I'm just going to call you Dita in short, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So we're going to just dive straight into the first question for you. And we know that, you're all about your art, and you're also a great communicator, and you've been really active on Twitter, Instagram, and many platforms as well. So I'm just going to be maybe, deep dive with the first question for you today about your recent collection. Maybe walk us through your recent collection, the backstory behind that, and your entire experience, and what have you learned from that?
Yeah. Well, so the collection that I have up now is called the Prudent Crop series, and it is basically a series of 100 crops. I haven't dropped them all yet, but I'm working on it. So it's crops where you view a sculpture from different angles and different close-ups, and so I have a sculpture in 3D. So I'm basically walking around it and taking stills. That's the short version. So I have minted a few now. I think I'm up to number 14, and I was thinking of dropping one now live when we are speaking as well later on. But so yeah, that's the short version.
So tell us about this Prudent Crop series, right? How did this name come about? And of course, we can actually follow your IG account to see your art practice in full. And of course, you have a fantastic looking website as well. Later on, we'll actually put this on a banner later on so that all of us in Asia can actually check it out. So maybe walk us through about this
the Prudent Crop series. Yeah, so it's these sculptures is a redrawing of a sculpture from antiquity depicting two men in a fight. And I always think it's urgently important to translate all these male experiences from men to women. So I just literally took this exact same posture and then made it into women. And I had a printout of the male wrestlers in my studio for a long time, and I used it in a very private situation. I had a kid now 6 years ago, and then 2 years ago I was planning and preparing for giving birth again to my second child. And since the first experience had been very traumatic, a lot of things happened that I of course didn't want to, and so I just had to be really brave and reset my brain in order to think of the upcoming event of birthing in a different way. So instead of letting the hormone of adrenaline and fear drive through my veins, I decided that I would tap into the love hormone called oxytocin. And I live in the countryside in an old schoolhouse far away from the hospital. And I decided that it was going to be the most beautiful, peaceful, painless, drugless, not hospitalized birth in history, and that I would, deal with this myself and with one midwife and my boyfriend. So despite my actual experience, which was super hospitalized and 12 people in the room and a lot of things happening, I manifested this perfect birthing situation because I was able to keep in control the love hormone oxytocin. So the sculpture for me is this balance, because you can't have like 20% adrenaline and 80% oxytocin flowing in your blood. It's either or. It's a drive of life. Either you're driven by fear, and that was what happened with my first birthing experience, that I was driven by fear. So my body was completely going into panic mode, like running as if there was a tiger behind me. That's what the blood signals, right? But if you can just tap into the love hormone, then everything else around you taps into that universal state of mind. So that's why I want people to look at this image of the two wrestlers as a way of keeping in balance that adrenaline, that you don't have to rush around being stressed all of your life. Also because that will result in not getting, you will have like diseases building up if you never rest. You will not be able to fight whatever, a cold or a cancer or whatever in your blood. So you need to be able to tap into that other hormone. That's the sculpture for me. And those zooms
I
are then.
absolutely love this piece of art that you put out. I think it's definitely one of those intriguing art with a really great story. I think you put it really, interesting for us to actually be able to know, how it came about and how it transpired. So I have more, artist questions for you next. We want to know, exactly, when or, starting with a story, right? You have actually told us about your Prudent crop collection. How about in terms of how you got started? Maybe we would love to hear how you got started and how this journey for you has been so far.
Yeah, so I am a painter with a solid career. I'm showing in museums and in galleries. But then I had this idea of making a painting of these wrestlers, and I tried several times with oil paint, but it just never translated the way I wanted. Always the picture in my computer, or even the pictures printed out, were much better. They had this like weird futuristic feel to it. So I've had the workflow of this sculpture in my computer for 3 years now, just from before I had my second child. So because I used it as this personal transformation, but I also wanted to implement it in my practice. But it just never really sat with me. It just never really became what I wanted. And then I was thinking that, well, somehow these digital images must have some sort of chance in my in my practice. But when I found the NFT world, it was just as if it just fitted, completely into that logic. So when I got into it in early March, I realized that I had so much in my computer already. So I just like started minting stuff just to find out like who were in the space, who would see it, who would buy it, I was just learning as I was going. I didn't have a plan at all. So I put all of these first attempts, which went really well. I had like a really welcoming experience from the crypto people and the crypto collectors, because none of my real life collectors are in this field at all, right? So but then I was like, okay, I have to make some sort of a more planned out strategy. So that's why I made the Prudent Crop series, and I left my intro collection on my website. You can see the different collections. So the first one is the intro collection, and that shows the wrestlers more in a whole as a sculpture. So that was how I started. I was just learning by doing, trying all kinds of prices. It's really difficult because it's like under 1% of what my prices from my art in my studio would be. So it's just it was like a game for me, just a fun way to try to employ a way of working that I have been doing for a few years, but I've just had never really had a chance to show.
Before we share screen and deep dive into your website, maybe could you help us out with this next question regarding NFTs, right? How is it like, what is it like as an artist to have your work valued through NFTs? And we understand this is not your first time dropping NFTs. So where can we also buy your NFTs? And what sets you apart from the other NFT projects in the metaverse?
Mm-hmm. My things are on OpenSea only. I find it's more like that's eBay or something, right? It's just everything is there. And I find that quite a good way of just not really thinking too much of which platform or how to get into known origin or foundation or all these. I was just like, fine, OpenSea is fine for me. And so they are there, and pricing, I just I don't know, it's something you choose yourself. So I could have put it a lot higher to match my prices from my but I wanted to keep the prices low to begin with, just so that I was you're not getting into my website?
Yeah, for some reason, maybe a typo error on my end. So is it
There is an
DITTERKOV.com?
S. Yeah, you are missing an S between after
Okay.
the R.
After the
Yeah.
R, right? So
After
sorry
the
about
R, there is an S. No worries. There is a link tree on my Instagram and my Twitter and everything, so people don't have to type in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we are finally looking at it. Sorry, my mistake. My bad.
No
So
worries.
please,
No worries.
yeah.
Yeah. So what you're looking at now are these very large canvases of I call them dream gradient paintings. So they are like quite big, and it's I paint them with these huge brushes. So they have sort of a little bit of a digital vibe to them, even though they are super physical. So I think my NFTs actually fit well with these. I want to. It would be great to sort of print them out or whatever. I have them on screens. I have a very big museum show coming up where I am doing a video of this scene with a voiceover, more of a meditative walkthrough of the scene. So I'm trying to find out how to put them together. Yeah, that's basically my biggest project right now, how to merge the two different fields. I mean, I feel like my intent and my concept behind is sort of the same, but it just takes out two different shapes. But
I want to pick your brains further and ask you another NFT question. Why do you think the traditional artists should mint NFTs?
Oh, I definitely don't think they should, and not many are, but a lot are afraid of it because in some of the big fancy magazines that people read, there's a lot of bashing this new industry because, yeah, for different reasons, and also they go in and they see what's on the platforms, and for in the eye of a fine artist or a critic or a museum person, it looks really shitty, to be honest, because everyone, yeah, for different reasons. But I think you should mint if there is something you can't express elsewhere. And I guess you can mint whatever. You can mint your video works, you can mint your photographs. I wish more fine artists would soon come into the space, but they aren't. But I hope they will be there soon, so that we can be a niche in whatever in this field. There's a lot of other great projects out there, but there's not a lot of people from the established art world, really. but they
So
will
you can
come.
see from this particular photo on your website, right? So the
Yeah,
restless common running theme that appear earlier on, in your
yeah,
collection, the crop collection as well.
yeah,
So these are the performance by some of your
yeah,
collaborators, right? During a recent
exactly.
show. Tell us about this show that happened in Stockholm in 2020.
Yeah, just by the end of 2020. Yeah, so it's kind of a fresh image. Yeah, so it's the two performers in the gallery space with my actual paintings. Yeah,
This is fantastic. What's the most
thanks.
successful thing that you have done so far to market your work? Because we know that in the past you can rely on galleries, right, to always provide that space, host space for your art and your performances, right, as
Yeah,
well. So now that we're in the virtual world and the metaverse, marketing your work means completely something else. So, what are the
yeah.
most successful things so far that you've done?
Um, I don't know because honestly, there's not much you can do. I post on like social media, but there is no critics that are lifting you up. I mean, there are a few platforms that are now hosting on Clubhouse or on doing small presentations on Instagram, which is very, very great. But there's no one representing you in that way. So the best thing I am doing is occupying my life in elsewhere too. I'm working on my paintings. I mean, I'm not on Clubhouse 24/7 and shilling my work. I live my life, and I think you need to have the more of a healthy approach to the NFT world and not being too obsessive about it, which I see a lot of people tend to be on Clubhouse, which is supposed to be the main platform for presenting your NFTs. But I think it's a part of my practice. It's not the everything I think of all the time, but it's an important thing for me at the moment, and maybe it will continue to be. But I think the best thing you can do is not obsess over self promoting yourself all the time. I, I think that gets really tired some when I hear the same people, talking about their work all the time. It's just I am just very and also in the NFT world there is no shame in like telling everyone when you sold something, which I think, coming from the art world, that is a very unfine way to speak about your work. Just, oh, look at me, I just sold another one. It's just not what you do. So I am, and I'm sure it will make you more successful if you say all the time that you sold, then people will go and buy more stuff, of course. But I'm in it for the long run. I'm not like hunting those ETH coins so much right now.
It's great that you touch on this, the other aspects, right? That, of course, many people are always saying that the artist's role has evolved. They have to be a better storyteller, have to be great at building community, have to be great at all these mediums, right? And every day there's a new medium that pops up. And of course,
Yeah.
NFT is also a medium. So
Oh yeah.
tell us about the first time when you heard about NFTs and because you spoke about technology, and platforms like Clubhouse as well. So,
Mm.
what do you think of NFTs when you first heard about them?
I think since it was as late as beginning of March, so it was just right before the Beeple drop. So I just heard it, I guess, almost at the same time as everyone else in the mainstream. But I got very interested and just started listening to all the podcasts I could find on the theme, and I wanted to understand it really fast because I knew this was something I wanted to dive into. But I think it's still difficult for the mainstream to really get it. I was kind of happy and sad, but mostly happy when I saw brands like Adidas and I think Playboy and are getting into it, because then maybe the mainstream is getting there faster. I don't know.
That's a fantastic answer. And are there any NFT artists that you're following or that you have discovered recently?
Oh, there are many. I have a small collection of things, and if on my OpenSea, it's so smart that everything you own also is there. In the beginning, I took everything out and put it into my phone wallet because I like to see, my cryptocurrencies, and then you had like your art that you collected also there. But then I realized that I could just keep it on OpenSea. So everything that I've collected there is something that I really like. So if you just tap on my name there, then you see all the ones that I recommend.
Fantastic. Let's talk a bit about your background. Any of your family members were artists like you as well?
I think my dad, if he had lived in another time, he would have been. He's quite old now. He's 87. So he was definitely pushing me to become an artist. And my brother is an artist as well. And there are a few others, younger people that are slowly getting there too, I think. So yeah, but it's nothing. I'm not from Copenhagen, the fancy area in Denmark. I'm like from as far away from that as you can literally get. So it was something that I had to carve out for myself and find out, we weren't going to museums, and I didn't know there was an art education at all and stuff when I was a kid. But my dad was like still crafty in that way that he would just like buy paint and put it on my table and see what happened with it. So stuff like that.
It runs in a family in a way, yeah, and
in a way, not in a fine art way, but in a crafty way. Yeah,
it's crafty way. Yeah, that's very well put. And my next question for you is, of course, another NFT question. Once again, there are many people who says that like pricing of work is always a conundrum. Do you face the same dilemma, especially with how ETH are always going up and down, right? Mostly up these days, and could be maybe 5,000 next week. Who knows, right? Do you need to actually maintain the price that you set and adjust accordingly, or do you have a strategy of set the price and just forget about it?
Yeah, I think that's all you can do. Just decide on something and then see, or don't look at what's happening, because if you had to adjust your price all the time, it would be everything you would spend your time doing with a little calculator all the time. So I'm not doing that, and so I just decided to put my Prudent Crop series on a bonding curve. So the first ones were cheap, and then I'm adding a little bit all the time. So when you get to number 100, that would be a lot more expensive than if you buy one now. And I'm trying to see it as sort of a trading card series, the 100. So if you have 5 of them, you can swap that into a NFT from my upcoming series, which will be much different. It will be basically the digital version of the figurative canvases that I weren't able to do last year, that I tried painting, but they never really had that translucent digital futuristic feel to it. So I'm working on making NFTs with that whole scene around them that is not in my Prudent Crop series. So the scene is like from a Vredement de Vries drawing from the 16th century. He was the one who made all these 3D sort of drawings of like how the rules of perspective and the lines, you probably have seen those, how those were all the rules of mathematics that were applied to visual paintings later on. So those drawings are so amazing, and some of them are very iconical. So I did a scene of one of those drawings, and I placed the wrestlers inside of that scene. So that will be, and there won't be that many. There will be like a more limited number. I'm not sure how many yet, but it will be like this whole scene. And then you can kind of take the coins from the Prudent Crop series and then swap that into the other series, which is because I want those to be priced more as my canvases in real life. Because my first collections on OpenSea were more testing and trying to figure out how the market is. I think it would have been weird to just put one up that was really expensive and then nothing happened. You have to learn by getting gritty and getting making mistakes and talking to people and, okay, next time I'm minting it this way, or I'm trying to, all of that. So I had to have like a lot of material just to work my way into understanding the platforms basically, and the marketing around it. So now I think I'm in a situation where I can make like bigger paintings in a way, and they will come with a print as well, like these really fine cycle prints. So I would like print out a huge paper and send to the one who buys those NFTs. So that's the plan.
This is fantastic.
I don't remember what your question was. Something about pricing, right? But yeah.
Well, I want to know, more about your perspective in terms of how you think creators, right, they are struggling with, especially. Do you think that marketing their work is the thing or the biggest thing that they struggle with the most?
I hope not, because I think the work is more important. But unfortunately, I see a lot of people basically just marketing and not really doing the work. So they are just marketing thin air, basically.
They're a marketer, not artists.
Yeah, and that's a little sad, because I actually think that art has a chance to help and change people, and that they can actually have a function, like a real function in people's lives. So I think marketing should be, in the best cases, not necessary, or in the second best cases, that someone else would do it for you, because it's very, just learning from real life, it's difficult to just stand at an exhibition and say, hey, this is a very good painting by me. It's not really a nice sentence to say. So to have people root for you and speak about your work is, so that, fortunately I have museum shows, so people will come in, they will get the whole experience, they will read the text by the curator, they will get like the whole package, right? But in the NFT world, that's not happening. So of course marketing is important, but also being reluctant and not just like spitting out like, I sold this and that all the time. I don't think it really works, but maybe it does. I do know it works, but I don't really know for what reason you would want to do that, just to make a lot of sales. But I guess
We have two more questions for you before we let you go. So how do you balance your life with technology versus nature?
So I live in the countryside, so nature's there all the time. I have a greenhouse, so I get things up really fast, considering that I live in a very cold place, which is northern Europe. So I have my hands in dirt a lot and try to make things grow that I can eat. So that's my main my main thing when I'm not in front of the computer or not in the studio. And I have a really nice, because we live in this old schoolhouse, so there's a garden and everything here. So I have everything I need.
Do you have any charities or causes that you're involved with? Because I know that many artists, right, they love to apportion some of their resale royalties, like maybe set certain percentage for charitable purposes, right? Do you have any?
I have a few things that I am always concerned with, and that's chronic pain. I think it's really sad when you have a body and then you have this avatar and then it's a burden, and that's what my work is about too, that if you can tap into that flow of not having it as a burden and not having it as being driven by fear, but be driven by a connection to the universe, then hopefully you can let go of the things that are damaging your body. So, and my mom had fibromyalgia, which is also a chronic pain disease. She died a few years ago. And so this is something I spend a lot of time working on, how art can help those people with chronic pain. So I'm doing a huge decoration of a hospital for chronic pain with my dream gradient canvases and wallpapers and stuff. So, and then I'm also doing an NFT project, which is, I can't say anything about yet because we haven't really planned it out yet. But I would definitely try to morph that more into what I'm doing digitally. But I'm not right now.
We're going to move on to rapid fire questions momentarily. So here are the rules. You must give a really short and pithy response, 1 sentence or 2 maximum.
Okay.
Ready? Let's go. What are your proudest life moments?
The birth of my second child.
What do you want doing less of in 2021?
Administration.
What do you want doing more of in 2021?
Painting.
Advice for NFT artists?
Don't be afraid.
Any future ambitions or side projects?
Oh, I have so many. There's no short answer to that. Nothing is a side project for me. Everything is on the main line.
How can people reach you?
I have a link tree in all of my social media accounts.
Fantastic. I think they can actually find that on your website, right? So we're going to just show their website one more time, this time with the right spelling of the S after the R.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me. And it's been a real pleasure, having you on our podcast. So we hope that, this will be not just a one-time, one-off thing. You come back in our podcast.
I would love that.
In the future and maybe update us on your new work. So any last message for our listeners before you go?
Oh, I promised I wanted to live mint something. So I am doing that right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell us about it. What is it?
It is one more in the Prudent Crop series. And I just put it on my Instagram too. And the thing is, I see so many NFTs so full of color and my eyes are burning. So that's one of the reasons why I have monochrome works right now and as my NFTs. And sometimes when my eyes are burning a lot, I mint a gray one just for people to, when they scroll through, they can relax a little bit on that.
This is brilliant. And thank you so much for doing this. And you take care of yourself, take care of each other over there. I'll see you very, very soon, my friend. Goodbye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye. That's Dieter. And of course, we from a Danish artist, we're going to move to a Thai artist, someone from Thailand, not too far away from Singapore. We are all located in Southeast Asia. So without further ado, let's welcome to... How are you, my friend? Hi. Sorry to keep you waiting because we overran a little bit. And we're going to make it up and give you extra 15 minutes. So maybe give us your short and pithy introduction first. Tell us about yourself.
Okay, what's up, everyone? Greeting all around the world. My name is Tu, but my full name is actually Nashapon Tusangiem, but it's like, Thai name is pretty long. So I would go for Tu as my artist name. And I'm actually a street artist and also illustrator. Sometimes I do motion illustration and pop art, colorful type of stuff. You can see on my background right here in my t-shirt.
I love that. I think one of the things that grabbed me when you sent me a headshot of yourself, right, is that what you're wearing imitates what you create. So you're such a great combination and great marketer as well. I think that's probably one of the important roles that an artist has to evolve into, right? So do you always wear it wherever you go?
Yeah, I mean, I do it all the time, but it's not like I'm forced to do it or I feel like it's unnatural. It's just that I feel like I just want to express myself. I mean, I always have the ideology of being your own speaker, if people can see or can find you, you don't have to wait for them to come to you. You just spread just your words, you just spread what you're good at and be confident or be positive about it, and just stay strong with what you believe in. That's basically that,
I think you put it in a really pithy way and, in terms of the importance, of marketing, the importance of creating a really great narrative. And your narrative is also visual because what you wear is basically, putting more focus and spotlighting all your great art creation. So tell us about this Rarible drop. I think you recently chose Rarible as one of your platforms or marketplaces where we can see all your brilliant art. I think maybe we can screen share that with our audience as well so that you can walk us through as well. What are we looking at right over here? Tell us about this particular page of yours. And
Rarible, I mean, the thing is that I don't have anything on Rarible right now. Maybe you would focus on Foundation. That's what I am into at the moment.
Sure. Let's open up
Yeah.
your foundation side instead. My bad. So
No, don't
maybe
worry, don't worry. Yeah, I have
maybe tell us a
foundation.
little bit in terms of your NFT and of course choosing the right marketplace, right? Uh, Many decisions are always behind like where to list your artwork. Is it wearable or certain collection, maybe on OpenSea or Foundation? So how do you get involved in Foundation in the first place? Did you actually have to
Oh
hustle to
my
get it
god.
right?
Oh my god. I was a little bit like hesitant on this. That I mean, there's actually a community of NFT in Thailand. It's like a Facebook page, and people just like had been dropping their stuff, showing off about what they do, what they can do, and etc. And I was kind of nervous, and I was like, but at least I want to be known because people had no clue that I'm gonna start doing NFT. So I was like, I dropped my stuff, like most of my motion graphics and my pop art, pop illustration sort of stuff. I drop it there, and I said that okay, my name is Tu. I'm about to join NFT, but there's still more for me to learn. That was like 2 months or 1 month ago, I guess. And then there was like one guy who was like a art collector, also an investor. You could see my invite, down there. He saw my potential, and he just like, hey, your artwork is amazing. Would you love to just take the invitation from me? I was like, yeah, sure. Back then, I had no clue that like foundation would be a big thing. I mean, it's like so closer, even so closer to super rare, super rare. Like I live to that. I'm not there yet, but I mean, like for foundation, it's just like big thing. Back then, I was like, oh, maybe I would just try out on OpenSea or Rarible until one person gave me a chance on foundation. So I looked into it, and I felt like, damn, this area is super artistic and super professional. And my collector said that you might fit in here, so I gave you a chance by giving you an invite. So try your best. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna hit it with like a big shot with my first drop. So I dropped my first NFT on foundation. It was it was a good result, yeah, and so on. But it has been only like 2 weeks of me doing foundation totally. So I would say I'm still new to this. you know
I love how you actually, title your collection as well, your pieces, right? King of the Fight, Monkey Pool, Ether Rangers. So it's like coming out with new terms and ways to describe your artwork as well. Especially the Ether Rangers. Tell us the backstory behind that.
It's just that like I just personally think that my first drop that I would love to make it like a big hit. I feel like if I want to impress the collector, maybe some of collectors are like card nerds, like pop culture nerds, geeks, and that sort of stuff. So I was thinking about doing something related to that, and I thought about the Rangers, and I just like, okay, maybe I need to make it relatable so people feel like a little bit touching into this. So I mean, since foundation use Ethereum as a main crypto currency, so I went for this. Yeah, it's basically that. It was just fun to try, and also the name is really cool. I was gonna go for Crypto Ranger, but I don't know. For me, it's pretty lame. I wanted to be more specific, and maybe in the future I could like expand this universe, this Ether Ranger universe that like would be. You see the Ether robot back there. Could be like them assembling, the robot fighting the kaiju. Could be like a next story. Could be like revealing. I mean, other episode. We could do comic about it. We could even do collectible cards on Rarible. That's like my future plan of it as well. Yeah.
This is brilliant. I think the sky's the limit, right, in terms of creativity and how you can actually have your art evolve into other mediums, forms as well. So this is not your first time dropping NFTs, right? Where can we buy your NFTs other than Foundation, and what sets you apart, you think, from the other NFT project, Metaverse?
Okay, so I actually have OpenSea and Rarible and Foundation. That's all three that I'm having right now. But I just personally feel like I would really focus on Foundation at the moment. Maybe in the very future, I would do like some collectibles, on Rarible for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's great. I just sneaked away for a quick drink. Anyway, let's continue. I want to ask you, a little bit more about NFTs, right? And obviously, there are many years. Maybe some artists, they went through barren years before they sold anything, before NFT arrived, and suddenly they're able to monetize doing what they love. So was that the same for you? How long did it take for you before you start to actually find results in the NFT world?
Oh my God, it was it was so quick, but it was something. I mean, before this past 2 week, when I sold, like, I just continually sold my stuff, right, including one on OpenSea as well. I had like the first drop that actually I had was on OpenSea. I dropped that for like from today. It was a month ago, and it was no result, because even though I tried to promote it, but it just I don't know why it was so difficult for me to hit it. But when I started off with that ETH Ranger as my second drop, but the first drop on Foundation, and I tried to make like a marketing plan, like I'm gonna do a teaser. Like I mean, if you saw on my Instagram, I even made like an actual poster for it, animated poster. Yeah, so for it, and I did some networking. I happen to know some like Hong Kongian friends who are investor, or some other Thai investor who are into cryptocurrency. So I just went straight and talked to them. I just like talked to them through WhatsApp and Line, and then say, hey, I'm gonna do NFT right now, and then it has to do with cryptocurrency. Maybe you could actually like buy my stuff, and then you could make like an investment plan in the future. You collect mine, you wait for like me to get a little bit more famous, and then the coin, the token like gets bigger, and then you sell it out in a more expensive price. I just like went around and sold this dream to everyone, basically. And I knew that someone was just like, nah, I'm not into it, and someone was like, I'll think about it. But yeah, but one or two of them were interested, and they just like kept continuing on trying to bid my work. They were like, okay, I will come around bidding your work. I would win one day. That was amazing. That was like one of the best moments as well. Yeah, they will continually like try to bid my work, which is like great. Yeah, at least you feel secure when it makes
I absolutely love your hustle, and I like the fact that you're really brave and courageous in actually reaching out to your potential target audience, right, or your potential buyer,
yeah.
and actually ask them to buy my art. You're quite direct and straight to the point.
I mean, I don't mind people feel something weird on it, because like they might think that this is not really artistic, but I mean, you could go like straight up artistic, and don't even care about marketing. But the world in the cryptocurrency, in crypto world is I would say it's very different from an actual physical world when they go out and sell traditional art. The way you operate is totally different, because it has to do with cryptocurrency, and also the investment in there. Even the artists themselves, they need to think carefully in order to first drop their stuff, plan ahead on doing, something. It just, yeah, the way you run thing in the beginning or kick off is totally different. Yeah, so I would say if you're not into marketing or networking, yeah, you got to be extremely famous for that in order to make it happen, I guess. But I don't know. I mean, in Thailand, I saw some other artists who are really famous, but they still didn't really manage to sell that well. I still didn't know why, but I've talked to a few friends of mine, and they said I think it's just because of marketing plan as well. Yeah, that's what I personally think. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm
It's
doing
like
my best.
Picasso, right? If not, you need to try and experiment in all mediums or all channels, all strategies, right? What I love about your approach is that you're willing and you're very daring to experiment, and of course, you've done so much grinding. That's why you have so many success story, especially when it comes to marketing your work. So artists and creators will also love to know what's your favorite digital art software that you use to create all your NFTs? Because I saw from the screen share earlier, it's colorful, it's vibrant, it's flashy, it's fun. So what kind of tools from professional ones to amateur tools that you use? Please share with others what helps bring your imagination to life.
Oh, I used for drawing process. I use Sketchbook and Procreate. They are both on iPad. Yeah. So
Fantastic.
I like both of them. Depends on the brush, on the some like functions that each of them are capable of, And after that, after drawing process, when animating process, I use Premiere Pro, Adobe Premiere Pro. Yeah. After Effects, no, I'm not good in that. Yeah.
Are there any NFT artists that you're following or that you have discovered recently, maybe in Thailand or outside of Thailand?
That are good ones.
The ones that you follow or the ones that you discovered that you think are doing great work in this space?
Oh yeah, I would give a shout out to my bro. His name is Palm. Oh, but his foundation name is Three Land. His work is amazing. It's like full of details and and really like childish, like a video game, landscape isometric sort of style. And he lives in Japan. Yeah, I would love to give a shout out to him. Yeah, he's doing great work. I've been following him, and his career is like growing as well. I mean, he's Thai, but he's living in Japan at the moment. And let me think. Other foreign artists, I still didn't catch up on. I'm sorry, but like I don't really look into foundation that often. Like I'm more like a hustler, so I barely had time. I know that I should like look into them to study as references. But yeah, I was like took more time marketing or networking. Yeah, so yeah, only one guy that I love his stuff about. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you think that when this NFT sales is over, right, you're gonna keep going down this NFT rabbit hole? Is there like a future for you doing art as just digital collectibles?
I think I would put myself as an artist, like an actual artist. That's why I like foundation, because when you sell stuff there, it's pretty artistic and professional, and like the price is pretty high, like high standard, but yet the level of the art is high standard as well. So I like about that. But for a collectible, I would think about it in the future. But for now, I just wanna keep this going as far as I can with the plan, with like the backup plan. But yet, I mean, even before this NFT thing, I already had like regular illustration job in general anyway, or exhibiting, in the physical world. So even if this goes down or it's like a downfall of my career on NFT, I don't mind that, because something, it always go up and down, up and down. It's just like, yeah, that's that.
It's like
Just
a roller
like the
coaster
fact-
ride, right? It's never plain sailing. It's ups and downs. So these are things that an artist would expect naturally. So how do you actually price your NFTs? I think this is a question about pricing mechanism right here. You always like sell at a fixed ETH price and then let the secondary market determines like how much residual income from the resale market, for example. Do you like set it and then forget it, or do you have another strategy?
My strategy of pricing is that, I mean, in the beginning, I think everyone would go very like kind of lower than the skill, like their skill of their standard is like right here, but they would go like somewhere around here just to test it out if this works or no. Maybe someone would actually go like boom, as same as their level. But if they don't do a good marketing plan, they would just like, I've seen many artists that do that, and then they just like had to lower their price just to sell the things out, unfortunately. Yeah, but my plan is that I just trying to sense that where I belong in the pricing in the beginning at the moment. So if you see my first Ethereum Ranger artwork, I started off with the 0.13, and then it went to the final bit at 0.39, right? And after that, I set it at like 0.18, but it went to 5.55. And then I realized that maybe my standard, my price standard is somewhere around 5 or 4. Yeah, I tasted out with two first artworks. And I was like, yeah, maybe my something around that. So I did the third one, starting off with 0.5432. It's just a random number. But since it was a big hit, I couldn't imagine that myself would hit to 1. I was like, maybe this artwork 0.8 was enough for me, but then they went to 1, and then I was like, it went to 1.33 Ethereum. I was like shouting out loud in my room, walking around, telling everyone how happy I am. Yeah. Even though I know that there are many artists. Huh?
Yeah, giving high fives, to yourself, right? Because you have to congratulate yourself because you deserve all these, great, prizes that you're able to set and manage to successfully sell as well. What about your repricing strategy, especially when it fluctuates so much, right? Like 3.9 now, maybe 5K next week. So do you handle the price setting part on your own as well?
Oh yeah, I literally saw it for these last few days, and I was a little scared about this fluctuate pricing, gas fee. But I feel I've talked to many collectors, they kind of my advisors help me suggesting things, and they all said that yeah, it's troublesome, but this problem might be solved in the future, in the very near future, because otherwise people would go away from Ethereum. They would go from other option, and Ethereum would have to adapt in order to survive. That's their personal thought, and I try to reprocess through that. And also, I don't think it should be a big problem at the moment. I know the pricing is high, but I think people, when they saw NFT in the beginning, they expected to invest in a very low price and get a very big, benefits from it. This is all everyone expectation at the moment. But if you think about other physical world or in general about investment, sometimes it's, your investment could be like this. And sometimes the benefit could be like this, you gain little, but at least it's something. For now, at the moment, I don't really worship money, or I don't want to just get extremely rich right away or being a next people. I think that you need to think carefully. If the situation like this, I think it's even better for some other artists to go in the competition, because the competition will be quite low, because the collectors already have coins, already have crypto coins in the same amount in crypto value, but the value in dollars is just shaking and fluctuating. Yeah, I get that. But for those who already have coins and collect them for 3 or 4 years ago, they don't mind spending it if they think about in the next future that it could be a good benefit from them. Yeah, so I think that shouldn't be a problem for me. Yeah, so I think I don't worry much, and if I price my work, I would go. Then my next one could go, maybe 0.8, because I saw that my last work is 1.33. I don't want to go 0.1 right away, because I feel I enjoy seeing traffic too. I always when it comes to last hour, of bidding. I love seeing them fighting to own my work. It was just a dream come true that people really appreciate or wanting your work badly. Yeah, so I kind of want to go a little bit lower. I could even go 1. People have been saying that, but I feel I could go for 0.8, so I could see where the traffic goes, and it could be a good record for you on your blockchain, right? Because when they track down the history, they will see oh my God, there was 10 or 11 traffics instead of just only 1 or 2. That people get it, and the other collector couldn't afford bidding any higher, and then they were done, So that's just my strategy. It's just more future vision.
This is a really, really interesting, conversation about pricing strategy. And, there's this saying that if you price it too low, you're diversifying your audience, right? But if you price it really high, you're curating your audience or your buyers. So it's actually a dilemma, and sometimes a bit of trial and error is, of course, always great. And you just refine and improve, the pricing strategy as you will go along, right? So I want to ask you about DAO as well. I'm not sure whether you have been involved in organizations that are decentralized and autonomous. I'm talking about the DAOs that are the collective or artists who actually buy each other's art. So are you involved in those collective or organizations? And any marginalized, artists or such as females of color, third world countries, even trans artists, right, that caught your attention? And have you also came across this sort of collective that focus on artists, marginalized artists so far?
Sorry, I just don't get the question. So it's you asking me about DAO, like what do I think about DAO so far?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah, it's good. Make it diverse and make it like decentralized. That's what I think everyone. I mean, every artist is looking for at the moment about this, because like in the traditional world, sometimes you work for agency, and agency sort of like centralized things, like they take control of like benefits, and stuff. But this is like straight up you and I buying artwork. Am I correct on this? I'm not so sure. I'm not an expert. Like I've been here for like one month and on NFT. So that's my personal thought on this. I think it's cool. Yeah. So, but I might have to look deeply into that. I just found out about DAO like I don't know, less than a day. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this has been maybe one of the developing conversations now, like trends or like the movement towards moving towards DAO, where there's a collective of artists that are like, they are aligned in terms of their mindset and who they want to support, right? So many of them actually support marginalized artists. So that's an area that definitely, we'll see more development probably in the next few weeks to come. So before we let you go, yeah, we want to do a rapid fire round as well. So are you up for
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. I listen to other artists. No, I'm ready.
Let's go. What are your proudest live moments?
My first exhibition, my first solo exhibition ever. Yeah.
Was it in Thailand, Bangkok?
Yeah, in Bangkok, just literally last November,
Wow.
2020.
What do
Yeah.
you want doing less of in 2021?
Work less, but gain big.
What do you want doing more of in 2021?
This is the thing. People were thinking like I would do more work, but I feel like I would love to care more about my mental health and physical health more. Yeah, mental and physical health.
What's your advice for NFT artists?
Um, it's not the best. I mean, it's a good option, but it's not the best option. You still have other choices. If you invest this, and if you invest it in the wrong way, and you feel like, but you don't have to continue doing it. You could try. I mean, there's some other options doing stuff, around. But I don't. I mean, it doesn't mean that I don't recommend them to come join, and then they take like my spotlight or whatever. Come join. Don't worry about it. Be a part of it. Be a part of this like future greatness. But you have to be mindful. You have to like be be aware of things that you need to do in order to get there, because it's not that easy. It's not just make art and get paid.
Fantastic answer. How can people reach you?
Through Instagram, just on the link here, Instagram /2_illustrate2. I put my link tree there, so you can just hit it there. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And you will see all my links. Yeah.
Any last message for our listeners who are replaying this podcast on their AirPods or on their smart speakers later on?
Okay, I mean, I think everyone should enjoy working, because it's art. You shouldn't be forced to do things. So when you feel like you're unhappy doing it, you just seek for alternative and be happy on what you do.
Happiness, seek happiness. Yeah, and of course, having this conversation with you makes me really happy for some, inexplicable reason. I think we should have you back on this podcast more often and bring more happiness to us as well.
I love it. I mean, I was so scared a little bit, because like literally this is my second time, getting interviewed through Zoom with English, Yeah, so I was like a little bit scared, because it's my secondary, language. But yeah.
You're a very experienced pro. So thank you for coming on again. And I look forward to see you very soon. So take care of yourself over there in Bangkok, in Thailand. Yeah. And take care of everyone.
Yeah.
So I'll see you really soon.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Goodbye too. That's a really fun conversation. And without further ado, let me introduce my next guest, Naheed Shahaleemi. She lives in Munich, Germany, with her 2 daughters. She has a story which is quite compelling. She was forced to leave Afghanistan in 1985, and her family and herself moved to Canada, where she was raised before shifting to Munich, where she solidified her career as an author, as a human rights activist, an international consultant on gender, and also a former professional athlete, a filmmaker, and one of the most prolific international artists in the art world today. So her passion in arts and humanitarianism began in her college and university days, where she studied fine arts, politics, and Southeast Asian studies with a specialization in human rights. So, however, it was witnessing of the destruction of a country under the Soviet occupation as a child that ignited within Naheed the passion to devote her life in promoting peace, tolerance, respect, and acceptance. So the synergy between her various personal and professional experiences are reflected in all that she does. So in 2014 and 2018, she traveled 19 times across Afghanistan, collecting inspiring stories of hope and courage from women who are great testaments of resilience, which she collated in her book, Where Courage Bears the Soul, We the Women of Afghanistan. So, I'm going to maybe just jump right into introducing her on her recent work, because she's the executive producer for a documentary that she's working on right now, where there's ongoing international project called Corona Contemporary Witnesses, which collects and documents in film and in photos via Zoom stories of humans from all corners of the world since March 2020, the beginning of the pandemic. She's also working on her next book with Elizabeth Sandman Publishing, the first phase of a large-scale national project in Germany, photographing and collecting stories of 100 inspiring youth and young adults coming in 2022. I saw her bio and I was intrigued, and I immediately wanted to invite her to come on to the show. And it's a huge honor to have her on today. Naheed, how are you, my friend?
Hi. Thank you so much for having me here. That was what an intro. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You deserve it, because I think you've done so much great work and you're recognized by many international bodies as well. I think you have been involved in so many projects. What are the ones that you prioritize right now at this moment?
Right now, I actually dropped my first NFT series about 2 weeks ago, and it's because I come from a conventional art world, so I have been painting for over 30 years, parallel to all of these things, and I love this new space because it gives us, we artists, we love to have these new toys to play with, and that is what's fascinating to me, because tech is not my strength. I work in the field, mostly in the war zones, and I write books and I make films and collect stories, but it's an extension of the storytelling part. So that is what fascinates me. So I find also the future. I mean, this is where it's going. So I'm very, very involved right now in learning about the space of the NFT, although I dropped the first series, but I still am learning every single day, and also the speed of this world is going so fast. I'm telling you, every single day and in this world equals to like 6 months in the physical world. So it is really nice. And also this, I'm working on 2 books, right now, also collecting inspiring stories of human beings that are around the world. I think it is very important to showcase and feature those that have gone through such courageous routes, and to give it to the rest of the world, to show it so that they can be inspired to do what they want to do. So that has been always my my motto in life, and my the core value of my project and my company, as well as a social impact company, is that is at its base. What do we leave behind as a path for humanity? Because it's easy to say that, okay, yes, and I'm an Afghan woman, and I think I'm the only Afghan right now in the space of NFT, from what I know, and I encourage the Afghans, also the young women, young men, and all Afghans all over the world, to come in and just just, try it out. And I know there's like so many things that you don't even understand, but you'll learn as you go along. But isn't that the point of life, to go through this journey?
You are also the first Afghan to come on my podcast, so I feel extremely privileged and honored. And of course, I'm looking at your OpenSea, your latest collection, right? Maybe there's a way for us to screen share that as well. I see a lot of Audrey Hepburn. Tell us about how this happened. And I know that I skip certain parts of my intro earlier on. I failed to mention that, not too long ago, you were given the honor of painting an interpretation of the most expensive Audrey Hepburn stamp that is actually authorized by the chair of Audrey Hepburn Society at US Fund for UNICEF. And so tell us how you got involved in this project and why your NFT drops is also inspired by that.
I mean, like I said, I've been painting for over 31 years now, and I have approximately 9 collections that are very different. Each one of them is very different from the other one. So if you would look at every single one of them, these ones are the portraits made of wax, and I have so many other ones that you would never think that they are painted by the same person, and I think that these facets that we have in ourselves, we should be allowed to express it that way through art, and that is what makes it beautiful. The Audrey Hepburn portrait, the actual original painting belongs to Sean Hepburn, who's a very good friend of mine, and we've been working together on various things. He also did the post-production of my first documentary film with me, and it's just a great friendship that I have since, I think, 12 years or something like that. And it just happened by fluke. Through UNICEF we met, and this painting was the first painting that actually worked with wax. And then he just took it and he didn't sell it, and he said no, and he just connected with it. And then after that, he asked me. He said, "Would you do the painting of my mom, the one that I would have liked to have as a stamp?" And that we auctioned it off and gave it to UNICEF, all of it, and it was really a fun time. So it was her 92nd birthday, for those who don't know, on the 4th of May. And that's why the name of the painting is called La Perfection. And I called the series La Perfection 92 in honor of her birthday, 92nd birthday. And that's when we dropped it about 2 weeks ago. So it's online, and the series has the original painting, which is with wax, so it keeps on moving. It's animated and it keeps on moving. And I have a fantastic digital team in London, Philip Reinking and Dane Moore, who have been working with me. And then I decided to also do a series of 2Ds, which you see afterwards. Those are the colorful ones with the Andy Warhol type, which I just like. I just love playing with this kind of stuff. So it was really fun. And then the series of the 2Ds came actually after the bento box, because I did this one bento box for charity, for the Bento Dao charity that is happening also exactly the same way as the Rare Pizza is doing it, so that they can support the all of the restaurants that have been impacted by COVID in the last year and a half. So the bento box, when we made the bento box, and I said, wouldn't it be great if we can do like a few different ones, so none of them are the same. Even the bento boxes, the 12 pieces that we chose to do, are very different from the 7 pieces that we did. And I thought that it would be really nice and everything is about 92, also to lower the price so that anybody can collect it. And it's also, you were talking about the pricing with your previous artist, and I think it is really important. And I learned this also throughout the last couple of months, where I've been literally night and day learning about the space. It is really important for me, it is important to make it kind of accessible to many people that love your art. The paintings are very expensive, so I know that not everybody can afford the paintings, and there's only one of one, and that's it, and there's no other one. But when it comes to the NFT space, that's what I love about it, because you can have the physical object attached to it, but you can also have, there's this wonderful artist in the NFT space, Jonathan, and he said, you got your Lamborghini, you got your BMW, and you got your Fiat. So you got to have all of these so that it's accessible to everybody, and whoever that is in love with your art, they can afford it. So that was also the idea behind it.
The diversity and the inclusivity is definitely something that's really appealing, right? And what makes NFT tag feel so right, yeah? Not just for artists, but people will appreciate creation by creators. So my next question for you is regarding not just in terms of like the pricing strategy, but more, in terms of the idea for NFT, right? Was the idea for NFT you're doing, or someone else's idea, or a suggestion? Like, how did you come across NFT in the first place, and how long did it take for you to finally decide to do an NFT project?
I heard of NFT. I think Sean told me about it. 2017, 2018. He told me about it, and I was in the middle of going. And I was half of my time was in Munich, the other half was in Afghanistan, another one was in Iraq, where I started another project, consulting another project in northern Iraq. So it was not the time. And then I think it was last year. A very, very good friend of my cousin, actually my second cousin, called me and he said, "Naheed, you got to go into the NFT space. Got to go check it out. And I said, "Yes, I will. Yes, I will." And it just brought back those. And that was the time that I was also kind of, discovering, going into the crypto space. And I was interested in crypto space because I had always, when it came to technology, I always pushed it away. And that is why I'm not so good at it, because I never had the time. So I have assistants and people that even do the tiny little things in my computers and programming and all that stuff. And that was, COVID also has these wonderful moments where you barge into a space and throw yourself in cold water because you have the time. I mean, if COVID wasn't here, I would probably be somewhere on the field and never be in this space and have it done. Oh yes, I'll do it. Exactly like, everybody with Bitcoin in 2011, 2012 would say, "Oh yes, I'll check it out. And then today you say, "Well, God damn, I wish I had checked it out." So it's one of those things. And then I think it was the right time. So, but I have been reading about NFTs for the past year, but intensely for the past 6 months, literally from like 7 p.m. until 3 a.m. every single day. But to be honest, Clubhouse taught me more in the last 4 weeks than the whole year of me studying about it. So I think whoever that is interested in NFTs, I truly urge you to come to and they have such a beautiful community, a very warm and welcoming community, which does not exist often in the physical world. In the physical world, there are lots of gatekeepers, and you have to. I've always curated my own shows. I have always done my own events. So it is a privilege, but it was a hard road to get to where I am. 30 plus years, and I love the grind. I love the work. So it doesn't bother me at all. But I know that it hasn't been easy. And also, it's a privilege to not only, because I don't earn my living only from art. It is a part of it. But I'm a speaker. I do other things. So there are lots of little aspects of my life that I've developed. And today, going into the NFT, all of that has come into the NFT with me. And that is the most beautiful part of it.
It's definitely a convergence. And of course, how the universe sometimes sends signals, right? And
exactly.
You have emerging platforms like Clubhouse, NFT Tag, making it really big this year. And before that, we were all like using our social media more, right? Reactivating our Twitter that had been lying dormant for a decade. I recently started posting on Twitter again after ignoring it for 10 years. I think this is all like coming together, and it seems like the universe is telling us that we should create more. We should spend, more effort on making our tools work for us, right? And of course, there are many good things that tools can help. Tools don't just destroy things; it can build great things as well. And you've been building a lot of great things. And I also understand, through your years of grinding, you also have many good opportunities that came your way as well. One of those maybe your experience, or should I say the opportunity to actually, work with the German national soccer team players and coaches. I believe it was in 2014 when he won a World Cup, right?
It's right before 2014. Yes, it was right before 2014. But I must say, opportunities, we make it. It is not luck. It is hard. I mean, a lot of people think that, you sit down here and you talk about the books and the films and all that stuff. That is 30 years of work. And by work, I mean, when other people are going and partying over the weekends, I sat down and I either studied or worked on my things. When I opened my company and I did most of the work especially for the German national soccer team when I got the okay from them, was after my kids were very small. I have two girls, and when they slept at 7 o'clock, I started working from 8 o'clock at night until 2 a.m. and I had to wake up at 6 again. So, a lot of people don't see this grind and they only see the outcome of it. There's a lot of work put into that. And I think and even the German national soccer team. I called every single week. My phone rang because I had put an alarm on it, and on the same exact time at around 10 a.m. so that I wouldn't wake anybody up. And I would be calling the secretary of the manager of German national soccer team for 8 months straight. I did not miss 1 week. And every single time she said, "No, Naheed, I'm so sorry." Sometimes she was really, of course it's annoying that somebody annoys the hell out of you for 8 months. And I would be very, and I'd say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I know that I'm annoying you, but I'm just checking on you. That's it." And that's it. Politely go until one day I will never forget. I was cooking food for my kids. It was, I think, 4 p.m. and both of them are running around. And then my phone rings in an unknown number, and I pick it up, and it's Oliver Bierhoff, the manager of the German national soccer team. So, but I also had done my research, Wayne. I really had done my research, and I even knew that he had the same exact birthday as mine. I knew exactly which charities he was helping. I knew that he had a soft spot for UNICEF, and I was UNICEF because I'm on the German National Committee of UNICEF. All of these things, you have to do your homework. I also knew that there was absolutely no Afghan woman that had ever approached them for any kind of request, and they had never been anything done with paintings of the whole team, and where they didn't have to sit down for me. They just had to okay it and then put their signatures right beside my signature. That was the other thing. I allowed them to sign right on top of my painting because that was the only way to make it, authentic. And that's how and then we auctioned it off, and the whole money went to, I still have a few because we had a cap, and I didn't want to sell it under, I don't remember how many thousands it was, but it did really, really well. And 100% of the whole thing went to the DFB Foundation, as well as girls' schools for UNICEF, for the LOL program, the Let Us Learn program of UNICEF. So, you gotta put a strategy in it. There's a strategy in this. There's not, you just don't come up with an idea. I said, you have to do your homework. You have to really, 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 work hard and work at all the channels, put a strategy, and step by step, be also ready to change that strategy if you see that it's not working. So there's a lot into it. And I think the fact, if you're not afraid to throw yourself into the pitch cold water, you'll be fine.
I think as a result of your hustle and your consistency, right, you're able to benefit, the charitable side of things, and benefit, in terms of like making that national team, forever, archived, or should I say documented.
Sure.
In this portrait that is now gleefully owned by the proud owner, who is, able to actually, have the opportunity to look at the painting or the portraits and remember that World Cup, right? And of course,
sure.
you mentioned about it's always about strategization. Just like, some tech companies have to game in order to get the data that they want. So for human beings, or maybe even artists or business people as well, they have to game the opportunities so that it doesn't just fall in a lap. You have to create those opportunities, right?
Yeah, for
so
sure.
What you said is really, really inspiring. And sometimes we really need to give plaudits and kudos to those who are able to do it, or able to make it and be successful at it. And instead of blaming them for your own lack of execution, right? So this is inspiring stuff. And Naheed, I'm going to ask you some, maybe 3 more questions before we let you go. Do you agree that the artist's role has now evolved into someone who has to be a great communicator, to be a great storyteller, to be great at building communities, and even, doing buddy copy in a very pithy way, right? On Twitter, when there's a limit to the number of characters you have to actually write down, yeah? And it's no longer about letting art speak for itself and spending 100% of your time on your creation. That's no longer enough, right? It's all about building a following in order to succeed.
I think the I don't know if I'm understanding the question properly, but this whole space also allows you to come and collaborate with other artists, which doesn't happen that often in the physical world. So I have digital artists that are doing work with me, but now I have animators that are going to come in. Now I have musicians that may be coming in. So to do it like a huge Genesis drop of some sort, whether you do it as an auction or as just as a series, editions, limited editions, I think that is fascinating to me. As an artist, it should be fascinating to a lot of people also, because now it is yes, it's about the art, but it's also about the storytelling of 5 different people coming together in unity. and creating a completely different I think it's a completely different movement. We can actually call it a movement. It's a huge movement, and whoever that jumps on board right now will be the OGs. And I so push the young people who are so creative, and it is so easy for them to work with technology today, to just jump in, make your mistakes. You will make mistakes. For God's sakes, we'll all make mistakes all the time. And just don't take it seriously and go at it.
So collaboration is a key, like what you just mentioned, where this project is going to be an amalgamation of different skills and background and different personalities as well, right? To make this art even better than the sum of its parts. So this is really inspiring again. And of course, we want to ask you, how do you actually, collaborate in a way whereby it's frictionless? It's, also not in a messy manner, because we know that now we can leverage on technology, right? The smart contracts, and of course the programmable ability of Ethereum chain as well, NFTs, specifically. And do you think that being able to collaborate at the same time, having features that are built for collaborations, like how do you divide the royalty share? How do you actually ensure that everyone's royalties are automatically, funneled to their wallets when there's a resale, for example? Do you see that these are actually features that are necessary now in order to make collaborations even more efficient in the future?
That's funny that you asked that question. I was on a panel last night actually exactly about this. And so the platforms are starting to realize that. And they are starting to, it's going to take time. They're going to start to put these applications so that it makes it easier for the artists and the collectors, afterwards not to have any problems. But until that happens, and also the laws, you have to realize that nobody has ever worked with this before. This is completely new. So the policies in copyright, legal system, and IP, for example, IP is going to be such a huge issue, I think, because everybody's, picking up art from something and then thinking that if I modify it, you can't just take up art from somebody else and modify it, regardless of how much modification you do. It still belongs to them. So these are the copyrights issues that they really have to be careful. Nevertheless, again, I'll go back to Clubhouse, because there are lots of lawyers that have recognized this, and they are developing these guidelines slowly. And I have one that a Clubhouse friend sent me, and it's a very, very concise and really well written one. Just 10-pager. People that go on Clubhouse, they can find him. His name is Jesse, and he's always in these rooms with NFT tips and all of that stuff. But I think that it is really, really important that if whatever you do in the physical world, so if I am to work with you, I'm not going to go and come and slap the contract and say, hey, Wayne, this is what we have to do. No, you agree with something and then write an agreement, just so that everybody is clear and it's transparent, and then you go forward. Same thing when it goes to buying, minting an NFT. Make sure that you write it. Is it for commercial use? Is it not for commercial use? Just make sure that you write it in that smart contract, or at least mention it somewhere in the description, so that you cover yourself, and legally it is also binding, until we find the methods. But I think that parallel, within the next 6 months, a lot of this is going to be taken care of by the platforms themselves, because they see this especially the royalties. I had a contract. I had an agreement contract with my digital team before we even started working, because that's how I do it in my businesses, and I do it in the real world. So the everything was going to go under my name, and the percentage, whatever it was, I would take it and I would give it to them after it was done. And like payments and things like that beforehand. So, there are lots of ways of doing this. So hybrid contract of paying half and then paying all of those things. So I did that way. But I think until we get these mechanisms, set on the ground, from policy side, from the government side, as well as from the applications, from the platforms, it'll take a few months, I think.
I think the lawyer, the attorney for NFT law, right, that you name dropped earlier, Jesse, is he Jesse Halfon?
Yes. He wrote this. You should get that. You should get that. Ask him to send it to you. He would gladly send it to you. It's a 10-pager or a 15-pager, and it is so concise, because a lot of these red threads all over in the copyright world, a lot of it are the same. There are a little bit of differences according to like Asia, Germany, and EU and America, but most of it has the same red thread. So it would be really, for your audience as well to take a look at it and read it. It would be great value.
I think we found him in the same way that you found him as well on Clubhouse. And I was in one of those rooms where he was really, giving really great advice on these areas. I think it doesn't have to be like building the plane while you fly it, right? You can definitely get a experience or even a really credible advice from those who are now actually, helping to form all these new contract law issues or copyright issues that we should actually take care of and to protect ourselves as well as the work of others as well. So IP is definitely something that is really, really important to learn and to educate ourselves with. So, just like what you did, right? You reach out to him. I also reached out to him and invited him to come on for a live taping of this podcast. I think tomorrow he'll be coming on as well. So
nice.
Great that you mentioned him.
Yeah.
And, we have also, reached out to him and we're able to actually, get people like you and him to make this festival really valuable in terms of dropping all these knowledge bombs and inspiration for our audience. So I really thank you so much, for being really patient, hanging out backstage. I'm sorry that we overran a little bit earlier on in our earlier session. Do you still have like 3 minutes to do a rapid fire round?
Oh, no. Okay.
So
all right.
All right, these are the rules, okay? Make sure you must give short and pithy response, one sentence or two max, okay? Let's go. Right. What are your proudest life moments?
My 2 children.
What do you want doing less of in 2021?
Nothing.
What do you want doing more of in 2021?
Exactly what I'm doing more. Seeing my friends, my family, and more work.
What's your advice for NFT artists?
Don't be afraid. You will make mistakes, and see this space as a new thing. Throw away the mindset that you have from the outside world. Leave it outside, as if you're a newborn in a new world. Oh my God, how fascinating is that? You get to relive those new first moments again as an artist.
That's more than 2 sentences, but because it's so good, I'll let it go. Any future ambitions or side projects?
Oh God. Well, that's not going to be 2 sentences. Come on.
I like to put my guests in the corner.
Oh God. Making my first feature film that I have been writing about since I was 12 years old.
How can people reach you?
DM me, Instagram. I'm in Instagram, Twitter now, like you. Going back on Twitter. Finally.
Reactivating Twitter all of a sudden, because of NFTs. So it's great having you here. It's great conversation with you. I wish we had more time, but I'm going to re-invite you back. Next time we're going to do this festival every month. Spotlight 50 or more artists every month. So it'll be a great joy to have you back on again. So meanwhile, take care of yourself. Take care of everyone over there. And I'll see you very soon, my friend.
Thank you so much, Wayne. To all of you.
Bye. Bye. Bye-bye. And with that, we're going to take a 2-hour break. I'm going to take a short nap because I have an overnight session. I think with a dozen more digital artists and also founders of tech companies and marketplaces, tech builders as well. We are trying to diversify, in terms of the number of guests and the background and also where they are from all over the world to ensure that everyone has a voice during this festival. So please stay tuned and we'll be back in 2 hours. And in the meantime, have a nice day. All right. Goodbye.